Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen McCloskey. I'm the director of the Centre for Global Education, which is an international NGO based in Belfast that provides training and resources on international development issues. And over the past decade, we've been working with NIPSA's Global Solidarity Fund to deliver education programs for Palestinian and Syrian refugees in Lebanon. So I'm going to use this short presentation to take you through the activities that have been supported by NIPSA's Global Solidarity Fund over the past year. So I'm going to share the screen. So hopefully you can see these slides. So before getting into the detail of the project, I'd like to thank all of the NIPSA members who contribute to the Global Solidarity Fund because it really makes a difference to the beneficiaries of our programs because particularly in terms of the current program, it's being delivered to young people who are not currently attending school. So their only access to education is through this program. So thank you very much indeed for your support. The title of the program is Chance to Learn, Educating Palestinian and Syrian Refugees in Lebanon. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the situation facing Palestinians in Lebanon right now. So there are 12 Palestinian refugee camps operated by UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. That's the UN agency that was set up to provide for the welfare of Palestinian refugees after the Nakba in 1948. So UNRWA was set up the year after that in 1949. So there are 12 camps from Nar al-Barad and Badawi camps in the north to Rashidia, Al-Bus, and Burj Shamali in the south. So the three camps in which the NIPSA project is being delivered are Burj Barajna camp, which is in Beirut, and Al-Bus and Rashidia camps, which are based in the city of Tyre in southern Lebanon. So there are the three camps in which the program has been delivered. So overview of Palestinians in Lebanon. There are roughly around 500,000 refugees registered with UNRWA, but only 220,000 are in country, including 27,000 PRS, that's Palestinian refugees from Syria. The difference between those two figures, 500,000 and 220,000, is emigration. So they are Palestinians who have either emigrated to other countries in the region or to countries outside of the Middle East. 80% of Palestinians live below the national poverty line as a result of decades of discrimination in Lebanon. Palestinians have never been naturalized in Lebanon, so they don't have citizenship. They're not allowed to own property. They're excluded from over 40 occupations, and they mostly work in the informal economy. As we just saw there, they live in 12 Palestinian camps. The living conditions in the camps are unsanitary, stressful, and overcrowded. There are 65 UNRWA schools in Lebanon. Some of them have to double shift. What that means is that two different school populations use the same school building, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. What that means is that a lot of Palestinian students have a part-time education. There are roughly 40,000 Palestinian students using those UNRWA schools. So I talked about the unsanitary, unsafe living conditions in the Palestinian camps. This is the main street in Burj Barajna camp, one of the camps that we're working in. And you can see the low-hanging wires, which are very treacherous. You have electricity wires crisscrossing with water and sanitation wires, and they create real danger for residents of the camps, particularly children, because they cause electrocution. and there have been several fatalities from electrocution in this camp and some of the other camps. These are typical streets in Birdsborough camp, very narrow maze-like streets. You have mostly motorcycles used to navigate the camp. Um, the the stress levels are very high in the camp because of the number of motorcycles um, flying around the place, but also because of the narrow nature of the streets. And again, you have in both images, you have the low-hanging wires, which are, as I say, very treacherous, especially for children. This is an aerial view of Birdsborough camp, and you can see that it's really just a mass of cement. There isn't any privacy or dignity for people living in these camps because they're living so close together. And again, from a child's point of view, no safe space to play. UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, is itself in crisis because of a $450 million budget deficit created by the withdrawal of US funding, which is the US is the biggest donor to UNRWA. They withdrew their funding to UNRWA a number of years ago. Some other European countries also withdrew their support after the start of the genocide in Gaza. Uh, 90% of the 28,000 UNRWA employees are Palestinians, which means that they're at risk of losing their jobs because of the reduction in UNRWA funding. Around 30,000 Palestinian refugees were displaced in Lebanon between September and November 2024 when Israel escalated its military attacks on Lebanon. It attacked some of the camps, the Palestinian camps in Lebanon, forcing the displacement. So around 30,000 Palestinians were forced to flee camps in the south and to either move in with relatives or to move into emergency shelters that were set up by UNRWA. They opened 12 emergency shelters that were filled by around 3,500 Palestinian refugees. 38,000 Palestinian students who attend UNRWA schools were unable to attend school because they were converted into emergency shelters. And around 15 UNRWA installations, clinics, schools, and houses were damaged in that period between September and November last year. So the the war in Gaza, the genocide in Gaza, has definitely spilled over into Lebanon, and many Palestinian refugees in Lebanon have been on the front line of that war. So, getting into the Chance to Learn project, it's delivered to Palestinian and Syrian refugees. Um, some Palestinian refugee children are currently not attending school because they've either had to withdraw from school because of economic pressures in Lebanon. Lebanon is in the midst of an economic crisis, and that has resulted in some Palestinian youngsters having to leave school to start working to supplement the family income. In some cases, particularly with Syrian refugees, they don't have status in Lebanon. They're not registered with UNRWA. They're not Palestinian refugees. Therefore, they're unable to access Palestinian installations, including schools. So the Chance to Learn project is being delivered to 100 Palestinian and Syrian refugees aged 12 to 16 years living in Birdsborough, Rashidiyah, and El Bus refugee camps located in Beirut and Tyre. The project aims are to provide formal education activities focused on Arabic, English, science, and life skills. These are core subjects in the curriculum, to provide structured play activities, including arts and crafts, dance and role play, to provide group and one-to-one psychosocial support sessions, because many of the young people participating in the program are suffering from mental health problems caused by exposure to extreme poverty and to conflict. The project also provides day trips outside the camp to recreation centers and parks, and it also supports the development of communication and interpersonal skills. So, in terms of the formal education classes, they focus on key curriculum skills, including Arabic, English, science, and maths. And this enables the children to learn core curriculum skills they miss out on from not attending school. But it also means that if they're able to integrate back into the formal sector, into schools, that they have a foundation into these subjects, which is really important. The project provides opportunities for education, self-expression, and imagination through arts and crafts. And it provides group and one-to-one psychosocial support, counseling, stress management, and where necessary, referrals for further support to address behavioral and mental health problems. And psychosocial support also extends to parental workshops. So we provide training to parents and guardians on how to extend psychosocial support for the children into the household. And these sessions, both for parents and for the young people, are facilitated by social workers who work on the program. The program also provides day trips outside the camp, so that enables the young people to escape, at least temporarily, the pressures of life inside the camp. And it also enables them to experience green spaces and safe areas to play. Every year I go out to visit the project, to meet with the staff of the Women's Program Association, to meet with the young people, to meet with the facilitators, to assess the delivery of activities, and to plan for the delivery of activities in the next year. So these visits are really, really helpful to provide me with a firm idea of the context in which Palestinians are living and to get a good sense of how the project is being delivered. We also produce a report for NIPSA on the delivery of the program every year. And these reports are normally available from the NIPSA website. They're certainly available from the Center for Global Education website, and they provide a lot more detail on the delivery of the activities. So if you want more information on the delivery of these programs, you'll get them in the reports. Once again, I'd like to thank on behalf of the Center for Global Education all of the NIPSA members who contribute to the fund, to the Global Solidarity Fund, and to thank the NIPSA staff who operate the fund. Thank you for your support. Thank you.